Gunmetal
is an urban fantasy tabletop RPG made by Ashley Winged Mani about monster hunters investigating and slaying threats to humanity. The backstory is pretty much what you would expect after watching enough anime. Magic is real, there's beings outside of our world, a masquerade is formed to keep people from knowing about it and being safe from it, and it's failing. You are a slayer, the first and last line of defense against the monsters at our door, and you are here to cancel the apocalypse. In term of system, Gunmetal Sonata is a powered by the Apocalypse RPG with a bit of inspiration from Forged in the Dark that kinda split into two phases, an investigation phase where players investigate what the villain of the week is planning, before ending it with a showdown via a combat system that seeks to emulate the feel of anime fight scene, where two characters put their skill and power to overdrive, parrying and dodging each incoming attacks, tricks, and magic, before finally, ending it with a final blow that truly matters, and it can do this for every single fight. Here's how it works. In combat, players have two pools of dices for it, power and antis. Power is basically the combat capacity of the player, and you can use it however you want. Antis is more specific, like a bag of tricks and tools that a player has for a more narrow situation that also grants them more benefits when it fits. To use these dice, you use a move called Rise to the Challenge and put either one antis worth of dice or however many power dice you like, and when you have more dice in play than your opponent, also called pressure, you can force their hand and defeat them. You are probably asking why not just put all of the dice on the table, because if your opponent has as many dices as you have, they can do the same, and get to counter your dice when their dices have a bigger number and put them off the board completely. This means two things: 1, you shouldn't just throw your biggest attack in the first turn, and 2, you shouldn't even start the first round, because then you can put your dice next and counter the enemy's dice to discard them. I mean, if you have watched enough shows, you know that if the main character throws in the first attack of a fight, they are gonna eat shit.
Finally, some good fucking food.
In essence, you are basically while your enemy is, and both of you are like basically exchanging special attacks and tricks while using as few dices as possible, so when one side has fully exhausted their power, you can finish them off. This is where I would put a sex joke if I'm an immature moron. Instead, I'm just a moron that can't think of a punchline. Also, there's more to the battle moves. You can conserve your current dice in play by wait for the moment and push them, allowing you to reroll their number, preventing the opposition from countering them without higher number, and when you keep going without pulling in new power or antis dice, you can press the attack and gain momentum token when countering enemies' dice, putting more pressure on the enemy. What about team battle? Well, usually, team battle doesn't really happen in anime, because when they do, it's more like things get split up into separated duels instead of using actual teamwork, but when you trust your allies, it can work quite well, as they can push the dice you have in play equal to your trust on them, and when you are out of dice, but you also knew your opponent can't handle your next attack, you can push your limits, take damage to gain momentum tokens, and drive them back to the wall. There are more moves I haven't even mentioned, but I will let you read up on them instead. That's not all either, you also have promises, which come in 3 tiers for how important they are to the player character, and also give the same number of dices as their tier. You can use them whenever they are relevant either in combat or outside of it, like saving the person you have promised that you will protect them. And in combat, using promises give you d10 dice, which in a system that runs on d6, it can turn impossible victory into a reality. But you better keep those promises because if you break them, you take stress, which can be quite detrimental if you are suffering too much of it, but you also need stress so you can clear them to get experience to get better at fighting, or trusting in your friends. Basically, in Gunmetal Sonata, the stress system is to simulate that caring about people, about you, is hard, and it might get stressful, but brave through that, and you could learn something from it. And that's it for Gunmetal Sonata.
Wait, you haven't even talked about the traditions players could take to define their fighting style, the positions to determine what role they have in a team or even what investigation moves they have, which you haven't even explained on how they work. I mean, they are basically kinda similar to Blade in the Dark skill where you roll a number of d6 equal to the skill number, but at least talk about it.
And that's it for Gunmetal Sonata, a TTRPG about magical girls, I mean slayers fighting against threats beyond our world, while struggling with the stressful situations they might face in their life. You can get it for free now on itch.io, because it's still in development actually, but the core mechanic is completed enough and simple enough that you can run it very quickly, and if you don't have an idea for a campaign, just watch some seasonal anime. Narrative-focused TTRPG can be a bit hit or miss for me, but when they hit, they really hit hard, and I just really love how Gunmetal Sonata goes for the specific feeling you get when watching battle anime or cartoon, and I hope with this video, you will love it too. Still, it's in development, so maybe you could even play it and send feedback to the writer so it could get even better. Anyway, that's all for now, and I will see you all next time. Hello there, if you like this video, please subscribe to my channel and click that notification bell button. If you really want to support my channel, you could visit my Patreon page, or buy me some coffee, links in the description. Anyway, have a nice day.